Justin Hayward, we're here to pay tribute to Marty Wilde. Tell us about the first time you met Marty.
Well, the first time I met Marty, it was 1964, and I answered an ad in the Melody Maker, and I went up to, it was for a guitar player, and I just turned professional, which after school, which just meant staying in bed. And then I didn't, so I was looking for a proper professional job, apart from local groups around Swindon. And I answered this ad, and I went up to a house in Eastbrook Road in Greenwich, and Marty Wilde opened the door. It was quite fantastic, and I auditioned for Marty, and I got the job with him, and I worked with him and Joyce for about 2 years after that, until a few months before I joined the Moody's.
So pretty much an icon for you in those days?
Absolutely. I mean, I knew all of the songs anyway. Yeah, of course. And he was one of the very few people to write a lot of those old songs in the early days. A lot of the rock and rollers didn't really do that, but Marty was always a writer.
So very important in your development then, if you joined the Moody Blues a couple of years later, that was a darn good training ground.
Absolutely, baptism of fire really, with sort of clubs, and we went on a combined services tour of all around the Middle East when Britain was still pushing its weight around in the Middle East, the same as it is now. But it was a great time, and I learnt a lot from Marty just being with him, and then he told me that really, you should start writing because you've got a kind of style about the way you play, and I started writing then, and it was the best advice I'd ever got. But for me to really start with your first proper professional job with one of your heroes, it was just fantastic. So we've been pals really ever since, and I'm so pleased that this album's happened, Born to Rock and Roll, and all of that kind of stuff, because he really was.
I mean, you've played to an immense amount of people, stadium rock and beyond. So I guess when you were playing with Marty Wilde, he was playing in the equivalent back then.
We were playing lots of different places. We did some dates on a Tom Jones tour. We played here at the Palladium, and Valdunicum was top of the bill, and it was a great night because there was always lots of all the shows. There was always lots of different artists and acts on, and then all over the country in theatres, in cabaret, in clubs, in dance halls. We did a tour of Ireland as well when I was with Mart, and it was just a real fun, and it was a real kind of rock and roll times. It was wonderful for me. It was a great way for a kid to start and to see the world of the music business.
Well, 3 or 4 years later, you went off on your sojourn into the mystical world in search of a lost chord and threshold or whatever. Yeah. Were you in contact with Marty during these sort of hippie times?
Yeah, on and off, and then in a few years later I was invited to join a thing called SODS, which is Society of Distinguished Songwriters, and Marty was already a member, and so we renewed our acquaintance then. But when I was with Marty, I mean, Kim was maybe 3 years old, and Ricky was more like 1.5, and just a little baby, and then to see them have success again, and I met Kim when she came around as a great artist in her own right, and it was fantastic because there was always music in their house and around their lives, and it made an impact on not only their own children but on me as well. Huge.
50 years for Marty Wilde. You've been around a bit. I mean, Bruce Welch we look at, he's never in the age he says. It's a bit of a hackneyed phrase, but what's the secret, Justin? You don't look that different, and here you are. Well, what is the different? What's the secret?
It's those glasses of yours, yes, they're defective. But I don't know. I mean, music keeps you young. We're all very lucky to have done the same thing since we were kids. That to not find a proper job and to just to play music. I'm very grateful for every day. So I think rock and roll and music, it keeps you young in heart, and that's the way we'll always be.
And for yourself, the Moody's back together again now, still alive and pulling the crowds bigger than ever.
Yeah, we work more now with the Moody Blues than we ever did years ago. We're offered more work. We could work every night of the year. We're on the road maybe 5 or 6 months a year, and a lot of the time in the US, where we had success in the 60s, and that's stayed with us all of these years. And I'm also doing a thing called the War of the Worlds with a guy called Jeff Wayne, which I'm going to Australia and New Zealand later in the year, and then playing here as well in the UK with it. And that's a great show. It's a spectacular show in costume, 100-foot screen, Martians coming down out the ceiling and everything. It's fantastic. Flush, bang, wallop. And between that and the Moody's, which is quite a serene, beautiful kind of trip, it's just it's wonderful. I'm very, very proud and pleased to be part of both things and both kinds of music.
What about Marty Wilde, a special guest on the Moody Blues tour?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? I'm too intimidated. I'm always intimidated by Marty because not only is he 6'5" and I'm 6'1", you know, my first professional job was to find somebody who I had to look up to. But Marty, when I was with Marty